Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live, February of 2021, with the theme Mysterious Wand. Hello everyone. Before we start, of course, I first would like to thank the continued support of over 1,200 supporters on Patreon, and the many donators that we see as well. Also, of course, I won't chat, I'll just respond to the chat during the event, and I do ask that during the trance you remain quiet. And if someone isn't quiet, just let them be. Like always, the trance will start about 15 minutes past, and after the trance there will be a Q&A. And of course, we will discuss the theme before the trance so you can get your input on this. My idea with the themes, by the way, was to have something similar to the potion file, where you get to pick the effects of the wand. The setting will likely be some kind of fantasy or magic. We'll see what kind of things you come up with. And let me make sure there, then I can see everything. I'd also like to thank all of you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It is still amazing and humbling to see everything like this. Also, welcome to 2021. It'll still be a while before everything is back to normal, but just do your best. I'm sure you can do it. And of course, thank you for being here. Now, before we begin, of course, with the trance, we will have to discuss the theme. And the theme tonight is a mysterious wand. Now, let's see, how do we find the wand? What is the setting? Well, some people are already suggesting effects like confusion and transformation. Let me see, a castle in a winter wonderland. A mysterious high tower. Actually, I like the idea of a castle. I don't think I've done it that often. I also saw forest twice, so let's do a castle in a forest. And in the castle there can be a library, a dusty old library with a wand laying around. My idea is that you find the wand, and of course, you don't know what it does. And let's say that the library or place is hidden somewhat. And of course, naturally, if you find out a wand, you want to try it out, to find out what happens and how it happens. You turn a bookcase. That's also interesting. Now, what kind of effects will this wand have? Maybe on a book of incantations, but maybe things come alive, teleporting, transformation. Things, positive effects, of course. And what kind of transformation could happen with the wands? Let's not do fire in a library. That's not nice. Well, Bonnie the Bunny asks for a bunny transformation. How surprising. Various animals. The Wabbajack. Someone has been playing Skyrim. So an owl, a bunny. I like owl more than eagle. And a cat girl. A tiny mouse. A lizard. That's interesting as well. Puppy. A super U. Rattlesnake. An angel. I think lizard will be more fun than snake. I have done snake things before. And not a wolf this time. We're going to stay away from the standard wolf and cat. Toad. Oof. Then we'll have to find a prince or a princess to kiss you better. Ooh, transforming into an element. Like water. Well, that could be interesting. Bringing to life characters from books. Well, like I said before, let's not do fire, because fire in libraries is bad. And of course, I said prince or princess because equal opportunity. And water damage is also a thing in the library. Invisibility. Invisible. If it was wind, it could blow your mind away. Ah. Interesting idea. To return the wand. Yeah, I don't know how to end it yet. Fairy or pixie. Actually, I have a fairy transformation file. Float. And yeah, one does not mess with the fae. Floats. What if the wand messes with your language? Well, for now, I think I have enough. I have quite a lot of different effects. A very different style than we had for the potions. And I'm sure I'll find some way of making it into a story. Let me see actually if I can move it over here, then I can read it a little bit better. There we go. Yes, who controls magic really? That's always the question. Now, just to make sure that people understand, the lives alternate between gentle and non-gentle. Gentle means non-erotic and so basically safe for work. And this is a gentle one. Now, as I have enough, let's get ready. Allow yourself to assume a comfortable position. And if you're all nice, then just let me know that you're ready. I mean, yes, there are ways to go into not safe for work, like euphemisms and things like that. But let's not do that. And indeed, the December live is always mine. And very nice to see that you're already blanketed and well. Let me see. All the software is ready too. Very good. Some people are even ready in French. It's always nice to see some diversity. And no, I won't forget the spiral. I think it's been a while since I actually forgot it. Although it's always nice to be reminded. It's actually interesting, after not doing a live for 2 months, I always have to double check my keyboard shortcuts. Now I hope you're all nice and relaxed. And of course, this one will be very fantasy rich. So you can just participate as you like. You're not required to, and if you don't, then I just kindly ask you to remain quiet until after the trance is done. And you're not in trance yet. I mean, not intentionally. It can still be relaxing to listen to me, of course. And no, I'm not going to read a phone book. Let me see. Oh, yes. I think we are all ready. So let's begin. Oh, that was interesting. And probably a very fun surprise for some people. That was the wrong button. And that's why I said it's always interesting to look at the shortcuts before you do things. All right. At least it keeps the spirits up. Let's begin. Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live, Mysterious Wand. This file plays in a mysterious faraway land, either in space or in time, and it begins in a forest. Forests are often already places full of magic, with life streaming around everywhere. If you could see all the magic that happens in a single tree, and the many different lives that are lived all around you, you'd be amazed. But for now, let's focus on the path in front of you. The forest is cold. There is snow here and there on the path, and some of it has even managed to fall between the trees. It is winter, and some of the wind has this chilly feel to it, slightly biting. But at the same time, it feels very nice, quiet, and fresh. The forest is quite large, and you have been traveling for a while. Close your eyes and imagine how your footsteps would sound on the path. The crunching of snow beneath your feet. The feeling of little wisps of snow drifting from the leaves above and sometimes even touching your face. The gentle sound of rustling leaves, all muted by the landscape. The fluffy white cover that is visible everywhere allows the sounds to dissipate so easily. And every step brings you deeper into the forest. The path before you easily seen, as the trees themselves have parted as well, almost as if they don't dare to grow on the path, although probably it's a mixture of both. The path was moved over time as trees grew and people just avoided them. At the same time, the many footsteps of those before you allowed this path to be well worn and direct you to where you need to go. You had been told of a castle deep in the woods, a castle where there might be treasure. Who knows what you'll find? Even if there wasn't anything special, the walk alone was it worth. Even if you didn't find anything special, the walk alone was more than worth it. It was wonderful to walk outside with this weather, the cool blue sky high above, the sun shining down on the glittering snow. And now finally between the trees you spotted a tower. And as you continued moving in that direction, you also started noticing the walls. Also the really strange shapes of the castle in front of you. It almost looks like the decoration were a bit strange, but also familiar, as if someone had heard of certain Gothic styles that were supposed to adorn castles, but at the same time wasn't entirely sure what they were supposed to be. The stones of the castle were well worn. By the time your crunchy footsteps got closer to the walls, you could tell that some plants had begun to grow alongside them. The stones themselves were covered with plenty of moss, and they looked smoothened by rain and many years. The door, however, looked strong. An old wooden door welcomed you with considerable weight. Attempting to push it open wasn't that easy, and you really had to put your shoulder in it for the door to creak open slowly. Inside the castle, it was also cold and quiet, but very dry. The door had probably not opened for quite a while. At the same time, it looked clean in here. Did anyone live here? Did they just not go out? The hallway wasn't that special. Then again, it was still a castle. There were many ways to go, stairs up, doors, and even just corridors to follow. It was important to find whatever this place had to offer. So you begin to search. Room after room, most of them filled with no more than some boring furniture. Each step in the castle echoed as the bottom of your shoes hit the bare stone. Most of the doors were all right to open, although they too provided firm, loud creaks that echoed within those empty halls. Besides the most basic of furniture made of wood, there was almost nothing to be found. And it really did look like the castle had been abandoned. But why was it so clean? At one point, you were wondering if maybe you should just give up and return home. However, there was something strange going on here. You were certain that this wall should not be here. The castle wasn't so big that it was difficult to map it out in your mind, and you were certain that the corridor should continue a lot further. Then again, maybe there was a way around it. Or maybe there was a secret entrance. Just to pass the time, not really expecting much, you began to investigate the wall more thoroughly. It had some of those nice old holders for torches or candles, and one of them could move. It was heavy, but after you pulled on it, there was a satisfying click, and the wall also clicked. It didn't move on its own, but now you could push it, and it turned back to open indeed into a further corridor. Beyond it there was light. Simple candlelight, showing much more color than in any of the other rooms. There were some deep reds and deep greens as well as some lighter colors. Books of different kinds stacked on shelves, and some brass and copper. Well, you weren't really sure what they were. Maybe for drinking from, or perhaps they were used in some kind of complicated experiment. As you looked around, you also saw that there was one shelf that didn't have any books, but it had something else. It was a long, almost stick-like thing, very elaborately adorned, and it looked different somehow. While the rest here all looked incredibly old, this wand looked brand new, as if it was just made, finished, by some very experienced master wood carver and who knows what else. I'm sure that you had been taught that messing with any kind of magical items was probably a bad idea, but it looked so interesting, intriguing almost. Very carefully, you reached out to the wand. And as your fingers clenched around it, there was almost a strange tingling feeling running all the way up your arm and through the rest of your body. I wonder what could happen. There was a strange feeling of power, of energy surging through the room and through your mind. You weren't really sure what was going to happen or wanting to happen, but as you moved your hand holding the wand around, there was this strange distortion in the air, almost like glittering or something trailing your every move. Something inside of you almost told you to move it in a certain way, to draw patterns in the air. And then suddenly you were somewhere else. You remembered this room. You had seen it just minutes before. It was another part of the castle. There had been no noise, no flash, just a blink, and you were somewhere else. But this was exciting. If this wand could allow you to just teleport around, that would be amazing. So without even thinking, you immediately willed more into the wand, and you wanted it to move you somewhere, and with another strange bit of drawing in the air, you suddenly spread your wings and flew out of the window. All of this happened purely on instinct, by reflex. You just moved completely automatically, and suddenly you found yourself flying high over the forest. The sun was slowly setting, and yet you could find yourself seeing everything perfectly. It was as if you could just zoom in wherever you looked. You dived down just on a hunch, and you saw a branch that could easily hold you. It was still fairly close to the castle. As you looked around, barely noticing that you hadn't even tried to turn your body, you found something scurrying on the ground. Again, there was a strange moment of realization of something happening, an exchange of energy perhaps, or just you suddenly saw the brown leaves that had been hiding beneath the snow very up close. You looked up, and there in a tree you could see an owl, and part of your body realized that you were not supposed to be here. You rapidly scurried along the ground towards the only place you know would be really safe. There was a place not far from here with stone and wood where owls couldn't really navigate. So burrowing yourself through the snow, zigzagging along the ground where strange footsteps had been formed somehow a while ago, the pale light of the setting sun lighting your path only barely, but you knew the way. Your whiskers felt the icy sting of the snow, and they could almost feel the shape above trying to lift off and hunt for you. But you knew where you were and where you wanted to go. You scurried underneath the door, and as soon as you got inside, you suddenly looked at your hand again, holding the wand, still in the room you had been teleported to. And then, as you blinked, as your hand moved again, there was this strange sensation, a sort of glassy glow going through your fingers, as if you became completely transparent, while the staff itself appeared to still be there. Your hand holding it had almost completely faded away, first becoming like glass, transparent and visible, but then even that faded away into a weird nothingness. Immediately you attempted to look at your other hand, finding it not there, but it was easy to move your arms and hands and feel your face or your chest. You were still there, just unseen. I wonder what kind of expression you'd have on your face as you realize that you became invisible, wielding a wand of mysterious power. Who knows what else you could turn into or become or watch? You wanted to turn around and go somewhere, but your body didn't move. It was almost as if you were rooted in place. You were invisible, but somehow, some reason was making it difficult to step away. You also noticed it was actually quite strange to attempt to walk without being able to notice your own legs. Another nice part is that you no longer felt cold. While you were invisible, it was almost like you were wrapped in a neutral, comfy warmth. However, could it last? Would it be possible to become visible again? You did your best to will yourself, and you could feel a wonderful light feeling surging through you as your hands slowly returned to visibility. And as you looked down, you were happy to see that your legs were there as well, although they were no longer connected to the floor. Without realizing, you had begun to float, and the ceiling was getting very, very close. When you reached up with one hand, you could easily touch it, but when you pressed against it, you pushed yourself away again, floating down almost as if you were a balloon. It was kind of a nice, floaty, light feeling. Drifting through the room, it would be nice to make yourself small and just enjoy this kind of bouncy lightness Well, when you were closer to the ground, you moved the wand again, and you did your best to think heavy thoughts, very nice singing thoughts, really wonderful sinking, melting thoughts as your body began to go so close to the ground, all the way down, melting down into a puddle that was so comfortable, so simple and shapeless. It felt nice to not need to have a shape, to just be laying there as a small pool of water, sinking. And as you tried to look and turn around, you slowly realized that you could scurry along the floor easily. You weren't sure if you were a moving pool of water or if something else had happened. When you looked around, you saw little lizard feet, and it was you scurrying along the floor towards the window. The window, of course, was so much higher than you could ever dare to jump when you were this small. But somehow your hands easily stuck to the stone, and you could climb up as if it was no effort at all, simply walking along the wall and moving up to the window. It felt so natural to just follow these instincts and look at the setting sun. Here, in the windowsill, it was a bit cold, so you wished that you were warmer somehow, maybe some nice white fur, and long ears, and a comfy, cute little nose curled up in a small ball of fluff. Yes, that would be lovely, to just sit here staring at the setting sun as a small bunny. It felt incredibly calming, so much so, in fact, that I wouldn't be surprised at all if you drifted to sleep right there where you were. Whatever shape you were in or mindset that you could be. It was so comfortable to explore these things even for a moment. It was so comfortable to explore these things even for a moment that it was so nice to drift away. And when you awakened in the castle, the wand was no longer in your hand. And as you went around, you couldn't find the corridor with the secret wall that you had found before. But it was getting late. You needed to leave. Maybe it was all a dream, or maybe not. You definitely felt as if you could see the world a lot easier right now, with more awareness of each and every color and shape and smell and sound. Everything just felt so vibrant. Pulling the old creaking door closed behind you felt like the end of a story, a dream. and your crunching footsteps as you slowly return to where you were filled with memories. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, more aware. 5, 6, almost there. 7, 8, almost awake. And 9, 10, wake. And welcome back. Noita, indeed. Ah, thank you very much. I quite like the creek idea as well. It was a very simple idea, but it was nice. And I like this story. I hope that you enjoyed it too. Let me see everything. That is lovely. It looks to be all good with just 2 edits, I believe. Yes. That was quite a long file as well. It was like 25 minutes. And indeed, an escape room might have been a little bit uncomfortable. And I think Noita is Finnish for which? I forgot which studio made the game. And yes, it probably didn't feel like 25 minutes because there was a lot that happened in a very short amount of time. Let me see. It is 25:50 something. And you're very welcome. So, in a moment, we will open to the Q&A. I'm just doing a few small things to make sure that everything is comfy. And there we go. That looks good. And it's totally okay if you don't remember what happened. It's not necessary to remember each and everything. Repeat. So, you probably saw a flash, and that's totally normal, don't worry. And when time goes by very fast when you're listening, it actually means that you enjoyed it in a very nice way. Time dilation happens a lot when you're having fun. I'm sure that some of you definitely know the effect of reading a book and then just completely getting lost in it, which is always a lovely feeling. And then we have that. There we go. Nice. A Man in Black flash. Yeah, I try my best not to do anything that is copyrighted. All right, well, let's begin the Q&A. And you probably saw something weird. That's totally normal. Today was a vegetarian pasta with goat cheese and spinach. And I did go for a walk in the snow. Yeah, we had snow here in the Netherlands. It was a lot of snow. And Annelie asks, is Nimja Inc. an equal opportunity employer? I mean, in the sense that everyone gets the same opportunity to be brainwashed. And how much snow? I don't know exactly, actually. It's probably quite a bit. It's hard to say. Becca Rose asks, do you ever get bored of answering the dinner question? Well, I mean, the silly thing is that as long as people keep doing it, it's an okay question. I actually made some homemade speculaas today. That was fun. Sparkly Ember asked, did you have a nice winter break? Yeah, I did. It was a little bit weird. Katie asks, where did Nimja Live 1 disappear to from YouTube? It should still be on YouTube in the Nimja Live list. Eternal Fancy asks, are there any February holidays you're looking forward to? I don't think we have any holidays. Nadine asks, another favorite color besides the clear blue of a winter sky? See, the thing is, I actually like most colors. I quite like and enjoy playing with colors, like both muted and pastel colors, or vibrant or very deep colors. Favorite colors have more to do with like the association with it. And Delta asks, why do some files end with a wake instead of a count up? To tease you. Casey Serene asks, what is your favorite edible dessert? I quite like vla, and in a related note, crème brûlée is also quite tasty. Andreas asks, what's the correct name of the potion file? See, I always have potion panic in my head, but I know that that's not the name. Plate asks, if you had to choose, would you be a cat boy or a dog boy? I would be a man. Jessica Walker says, I don't believe number 1 was made with YouTube. It was streamed to YouTube, but it was made with Hangouts. It was the very first one. Haley asks, what's your favorite art medium? For myself, probably poetry. Rachel Me asks, have you made a game before? Yeah, I've made a few, like concept things. Rex asks, what games have you been playing lately? Well, very lately I played, what's the name of that game? It is Generation Zero, which is a game like in Sweden, kind of strange. Potion play. Mastermind asks, do you write your transcripts manually? No. I have very helpful helper transcribers who have made lovely transcripts. Lol J asks, what's your favorite subject in school? Math and physics. Eternal Fancy asks, what are you going to do with the unavailable interactions? For now, nothing. It is as it is. Beggar Rose asks, did you enjoy school? Mostly, yes. Some of it is boring. Bogdan the Lurker asks, do you have someone who once inspired you? get inspired by lots of people. Eternal Fancy asks, have you read any good books lately? Generally, yes. Haley asked, do you keep your notes from the lives in a notebook or on loose papers? No. I completely forgot about a new live notebook that someone gave me. I should totally write down the suggestions in that from now on. And actually write the date with it as well. Yeah, the chair sometimes glitters with the background, which is a shame. Hummingbird asks, do you meditate? Sometimes. I actually keep them on loose papers. And if there's any really good suggestions, I kind of keep them separately. But other than that, I have just thrown them away. I don't mind. Unigado asks, what's the next destination you'd like to travel to, if possible? Wales, but... next destination, I haven't really thought about it. There's a lot of places that I might still want to visit. Oh yeah, there was a plan to go to the States for the Patron event. We will have to see when that would be possible. Annalise de Veres asks, have you seen the Joss Whedon series Dollhouse? I have. What's the funniest accident you've had during a hypnosis session? I mean, I've asked a guy what animal he wanted to be, and he wanted to be a mouse. And someone else came in the room that I had a cat trigger with. And for some bizarre reason, I thought it would be a good idea to trigger her as a cat, and she started chasing Mr. Mouse. It was actually adorable. Both of them had a lot of fun. Casey Serene asks, who is your favorite Disney princess? I don't think Disney makes very good princesses. Dito asks, have you ever listened to any other hypnosis channels? No, not really much. Before I started, I listened to some things which kind of made me start because I felt like there was something missing. Becca Rose asks, I remember you said from another live that you enjoy the frying pan induction. What is it? Boing. Annalise de Veer asks, okay then, who's your favorite princess? Flicker. Xenix asks, what do you look most forward to once things and daily life are more normal again? People. Jay Gators asks, who's your favorite Disney prince? I don't know. Most of the princes are also kind of meh. Sleepy Doll asks, who is your favorite Studio Ghibli character? Is Princess Mononoke Studio Ghibli? I think so. Yeah, Princess Mononoke. And Mononoke herself is the wolf girl. So she's pretty awesome. Eternal Fancy asks, what color is your front door? Right now, white. Emily asks, what's your favorite beer? That implies that I like beer. Neighborhood Bisexual asks, what's your favorite horror movie? Horror movie? Probably The Cabin in the Woods. If you go with thriller, The Cell is pretty interesting. Although there's a lot of if we go with movies that actually scare you there's a lot of Japanese movies that are way more creepy than most American movies. And cooking with Nimja would be fun. Sariana asked, okay, what kind of whiskey do you prefer, sir? That implies that I enjoy whiskey. Jasmine asks, have you seen the Resident Evil trailer? Any thoughts on the big lady vampire? If memory serves, she is 9'4", with hat and shoes. And, I mean, I don't have a particular opinion. I'm familiar with size enlargement and things like that. Hummingbird asks, have you ever done a slime hypnophile? I think I've done a slime girl induction. And some people are asking if I drink any alcohol at all. Very little. I'm not like super big into alcohol. Rex asks, all right, what's your favorite soda then? See, that implies that I like soda. Sorry. Actually, most of the time I just drink water and tea. I don't drink coffee really either. And of sodas, yeah, it varies. I don't drink them like a lot. And yeah, I do have slime girl transformation. Elizabeth Allen asks, how tall are you, sir? I am 187 centimeters, or I believe 6'4". Nimja as Bob Ross, and we're just going to get rid of all that paint to drop on the canvas. I mean, I'm sure I could make a show called The Pleasure of Trancing or The Pleasure of Hypnosis. I wouldn't want to imitate Bob Ross perfectly because what he made is beautiful. Eternal Fancy asks, what's the best worst thing that happened lately? I had too much cookie dough. A hypnophile about body painting. Do I have one? The joy of trancing. Yeah, because the thing is, the joy of painting requires an ing, so the joy of hypnosis would be... Katie asks, how often do you lurk various chat forums? It varies. Eternal Fancy asks, do you prefer sweet or salty licorice? I lean towards sweet, but I enjoy both. Oh yeah, I have like an invisible clothes one and body painting. Yeah, see, I did do that. There's a joke on the Nimja Hypnosis Discord server, which, by the way, you get access to if you are a patron. And there's a file for that. Emily asks, are you a socks and sandals type of European? No, one does not sandal and sock. That's just wrong. Jesus asks, what's your favorite sauce for foods? Well, as long as it's not weak sauce. Annalise says, would you be willing to look up at the light? Several of us have been trying to draw you, but your eyes are usually in shadow from your prominent, manly brow. I don't think I've ever heard my eyebrows discussed as prominent, manly. Hummingbird asks, fear play hypnophile? Well, there's Hunted, and there is the volatile vampire one, which is quite interesting. And I think there's another few where I play with fear. Dominant growls. Yeah, there's a few actually related to like fear play. Sleepy Doll asks, do you have any pets? Well, no animal ones. Phoenix asks, which file made you feel the most devious in the making? I mean, the volatile vampire one was quite interesting to make. Eternal Fancy asked, have you been recording more gentle, kinky, or erotic files lately? Yeah, it varies. I don't know. I think more kinky-ish. Andrevis asks, would it be possible to use scent as a hypnotic focus? Oh, definitely. And some of the people around me know that scent can be very easily used as a wonderful focus and or trigger. Becca Rose asks, can you finish this sentence for us? Hello, I am crying. Oh, sorry, crying emoji. Jesus asks, if you can travel back in time to fix any mistake you made, which mistake would you undo if it's not too personal? I wouldn't want to undo a single mistake. I've definitely made mistakes that I wish I would have done differently with the knowledge that I have now. So rather than trying to fix one mistake, I would try to educate my younger self to sort of not have to make that mistake to learn. But it's very difficult because some mistakes, like, you kind of don't know how something is until after you've made the mistake. It's just a shame that mistakes often come with pain. But it does make them all the more important to learn from. Eternal Fancy asked, if you could visit any historical era, which would you go to? This one. This is the most awesome era. The most changes in a short amount of time. Katie asks, someone warned me not to do this, but would you please read this sentence out loud? And it's Finnish. Let me see. Se on itä, helppoa kuin hengittäminen. I have no idea. I'm not sure if in Finnish the A umlaut is like A or A. Oh, this is an interesting question. Sorry. Karipuka asked, have you ever written a book? Yes, several. They're on the site. Haley asks, is speak a proper term for programming? As in, I speak Python? No, you generally say I write Python or I code Python. I think writing is the more common one. Emily asks, what language does your brain dream in? QBasic? No. Leaning towards English, mostly. Eternal Fancy asks, will you write more for the site? Well, I'm so busy with creative stuff with hypnosis that I don't expect to write anytime soon, but if I have a really powerful idea, I might. I've done several small projects like the pixel art. Delta asks, what kind of incense is burning in tempted surrender? Yes. Jay Gatos asks, have you thought of publishing the books on your site? Why? People can read it easily. Mastermind asks, what usually comes first, the title or the file? Well, the title has to come first because I say it in the file and I record it in one take with sometimes minor corrections. Neighborhood Bisexual asks, can you say something strict? No. Eternal Fancy asks, for coding, are there things like else-if statements that are called the same thing in Dutch, or is it all coding in English? Coding is almost all in English. Eternal Fancy asks, what's the worst joke you've made? Pancakes. Although, probably, how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? 1. But the light bulb has to want to change. I mean, the funny thing about jokes is that bad jokes can be funny depending on their delivery. It's all about timing. How many Microsoft programmers does it take to change a light bulb? None, they just define darkness as the new standard. Sleepy Doll asks, do you watch foreign movies with subtitles or dubbed? Almost always subtitles. There are some exceptions with certain anime series where the subtitles are such bad quality that I prefer the English dub. I actually watched Hellsing Ultimate not too long ago. Finally. Rachel Me asked, pancakes or waffles? I mean, both are very nice. Nadine asks, can you say something in Dutch with your robot voice? De grap is dat Nederlands is een stuk moeilijker met de robot voice. Because of the more intense consonants. Rex asks, do you have a good memory? Or actually he asked, are there any questions you're sick of answering? Neighborhood Bisexual asks, do you like spicy food? Yeah, generally. Annelie de Fer asks, have you ever been to Tim Hortons? I have not. Bogdan de Lurker asks, what RPG class would you be in real life? Psionic, probably. Cat robot. Xenix again asks, what's the most exotic animal you've turned someone's mind into? Most exotic? I think I've done certain kind of fish that was very interesting. And indeed, I could be a School of Enchantment wizard. And auto transcripts are indeed hilarious if you want to have bad subtitles. Nimja Inc. indeed does not do animal testing. We test everything on very willing participants. Eternal Fancy asks, what's the best present you've gotten? I don't know. I have had a lot of really amazing presents, and most of them are too personal to mention here. Oh, speaking of presents, I almost forgot. Thank you for the many cards that you've sent. Not all of them have arrived, I am afraid, and I'm very sorry for that. Because of the whole situation, apparently the postage service has had some issues. The narrator asks, favorite subtle sign of submission? A light blush as they look up at me. Neighborhood Bisexual asked, how do I apply for a position at Nimja Inc.? Oh, don't worry, if one opens up, I'm sure you'll know. Rachel Me asked, what if you're not willing participant at Nimja Inc.? How would that even happen? Laura Roberts asked, do you play any instruments? Yeah, I play a bit of keyboards and guitar. Very little guitar. Annelien de Fer asked, if someone made you into a doll, what accessories would it come with? A pocket watch, obviously. In fact, someone made a really cute plush doll of, like, a crocheted doll of me, if I remember correctly. By a very lovely fellow from the UK. Eternal Fancy asked, will we get more Nimja Inc. files? Possibly. Haley asks, what's something you could talk about for hours? Anything that I enjoyed watching or playing. A while ago I had an hour-long discussion about the music in Nier. Or music in games in general, but the music in Nier got quite a lot of compliments. Becca Rose asks, what's some good files you recommend that work good together? Well, that's really up to you. Eternal Fancy asks, do you have a metronome? No. I don't have a metronome. I should actually see to find an old-fashioned metronome, like one that actually swings back and forth. Would be fun. Jesus asks, what do you think about making a file which is about spending a day or two with you? Well, I have lots of files that are sort of in my company. Laura Kickass asks, would you consider voice acting in a video game? In theory, yes. I do not consider myself a professional voice actor, though. For proper voice acting, you need to be able to reproduce the same voice very consistently. And that's harder than you think. It's easy to do a silly voice or to do a strange or a distinct voice, but to reproduce it over and over again so that you're consistent is a lot more effort. Just a Little Me asked, do you believe you have any secret talents? I don't think they're secret anymore. Eternal Fancy asks, do you have wireless headphones? I do. I use wired headphones during the lives because there is a special plug on the microphone, which is, you can't see that, that has a zero latency headphone or a monitoring headphone, which means that I can hear my voice without latency, because trying to speak with a latency in your ear of your own voice is really hard. Jay asks, is it easier to put someone in a trance when they're tired or about to fall asleep? Well, that depends. If you want them to fall asleep, then yes. Becca Rose asks, can you give us some cookies and blankets? Not at the same time. You don't want to crumble all over blankets. And about believing that this is my voice, well, yes. I can't really say much about it. In general, how you sound has a lot to do with how you feel. If you are tense or stressed, then you would sound stressed and your voice would sound unpleasant. But if you are comfortable and confident and calm, then it also reflects in your voice. And of course, if you sound a little bit teasing, then it also sounds in your voice. Speaking of, Nadine asks, Sir, why do you have to be so teasy? Because it's fun. Becca Rose asks, what is something you would say to a little? I'll tell you next time. Jesus asks, what's the best road trip you have been on? Road trips are not really a thing here. Just a Little Me asks, are you soft-spoken outside of YouTube? That depends on my level of enthusiasm. The more enthusiastic I am about a subject, the more, I think, allowed I would be, ? Eternal Fancy asked, have you ever been asked for a hug during a person's first in-person meet with you? I think a better question is, have I ever not been asked for a hug during a person's in-person meet with me? I think there's been like one or two that didn't want a hug, but almost everyone does. Andrews asks, may I boop your snoot? Well, that is challenging. Katie asks, any tips for us that have trouble with background files? Well, just have fun. It's also okay to listen to them normally. Karipuka asks, have you ever pranked a hypnophile for April Fools? Well, no, the files themselves are all serious. However, there is a Nimja live on April 1st with a little bit of a special intro. Jesus asks, have you made a file in which you're Spider-Man? No, I do not make files with copyrighted content. Becca Rose asks, do you have any questions for us? Well, what did you enjoy most about the file? Neighborhood Bisexual asks, favorite way to mess with a brat? I might tell you, if you're good. And yes, I do look like I would give amazing hugs. Apparently the people in Wales all thought I give amazing hugs. Although I must say that some special mention also goes to a sparkly unicorn in Wales that also gave pretty good hugs. Eternal Fancy asked, how do you feel about having so many under your control by the literal snap of your finger? Well, technically they're not under my controls, they're just enjoying the files as much as they like. Jouette à Papa asks, have you ever been recognized as Nimja in public? Only once, and technically by someone who met me before. And Leave the Fair asks, who gave you the best hug? Well, the best hugs have nothing to do with the hug itself, but rather the context in which it is given. And in that sense, I would say my dad. The narrator asked, hugs are competitive now? Oh no. The challenge with hugs is to enjoy them even more next time. Nadine asks, on the topic of hugs, which is better, hugs or cuddles? That depends on the position. Sitting down or laying, cuddles. Standing, hugs. Mokali asks, all these sleep questions, how's a guy to stay awake? At least I'm assuming that's because of the typo. With awake, of course. Jesus R asks, how did you come up with the name Nimja? It is a sort of transliteration of my real name. "10 minutes remaining. Annalise asks, how many times can we get you to say hugs in a single live? And Nervous asks, do you realize how much of a precious being you are? No. Karipuka asks, what is your opinion on polyamorous stuff? So, polyamory, I think, is very healthy and normal. However, it does require open communication and very open trust and forwardness between all parties involved. Haley asks, I have a tendency to feel cold in trance. Do you know of a reason for that or a way to fix it? It's very normal for some people to get cooler in trance because their heartbeat goes down. And it's not something bad. It does help if it makes you uncomfortable. It does help to, for example, sit against a heater. But please be careful. Sariana asks, any suggestion to go on with a diet, sir? Focus on what you want to achieve. The diet itself is just a method. Mokali says that it wasn't a typo. I wasn't sure. I mean, either way would have been fine. Rachel Me asks, what is in your opinion the best way to bring someone deep? The way that works for them. Oh, interesting. Being given a very hard spiral puzzle or any other kind of puzzle and doing it while listening to a background file. Neighborhood Bisexual asks, can we get pets? Aw, pet. Christina asks, opinion on for me who is pregnant, yay or nay? I don't understand the question. Also, keep in mind, I am not a doctor or a physician, so please do not ask me actual dietary advice. Casey Serene asks, can you purr, please? Annalie the Fair asks, do you smash the bug or bring it outside? It depends on the bug. If it is a mosquito, it is smashed. If it is something else, it's usually brought outside. Let me see, 7 minutes remaining. Nadine asks, what's something that's the most appealing about someone falling into a deep trance? Well, I would say that it's very nice to see someone just sinking or really losing themselves to the moment. Katie asks, would you please show us your handwriting for old time's sake? You've done it once before in a live. I mean, I could, but for the live I'm doing quick writing and not nice writing. And I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying using my videos to help yourself relax. Dito asks, what's your favorite season? Probably spring in the sense of nice weather for bicycling and winter for the looks. Annalie the Fair asks, is your left or right hand bigger? No, as far as I know, they're pretty much identical. Jay Garris asks, are you left or right-handed? I am mostly right-handed and decently ambidextrous. Mokali asks, can you skate? I can ice skate, and I should still be able to inline skate as well. Slutko asks, how old are you? I am 40 years old now. I had my birthday in December. And awake, just for the people who got too drawn in by the hand movements. Katie asks, when was a time you acted nonchalant but were going crazy inside? There's a live where there was like a technical issue that was incredibly frustrating, and it really took a lot of self-control to stay calm for the actual live. And I'm not a figure skater, I'm just a very basic ice skater. Superficial asks, what is your favorite magic trick to learn? Oh, just a very simple hand movement with my fingers. Slatko asks, are you still active on Patreon? Oh yes, I still make files and I make Patreon specific files. I should be a bit more active on the server though, but I'm getting more into that as well. Would I enjoy making a YouTube video with hand movements instead of the spiral? I don't know. Just a little me asks, do you tend to show your emotions or keep them hidden? I would probably qualify as more hidden than showing, not intentionally though. Emily asks, what nail polish color would be your favorite on your nails? Transparent. I'm not actually wearing nail polish. I don't know. I think a darker color would probably be better. Maybe like a deep blue or a deep purple. Or if I could get my hands on it, like the Nimja blue-purple. Katie asks, have you played Genshin Impact? I have. It's a pretty decent game, although they do their best to like trick you into paying some money. Rex asks, are you more of an early or a night person? I tend to be a very good morning person. Eternal Fancy asks, how easy is it for you to empathize with people? In a certain way, pretty easy. But it depends on the emotional depth of the empathy. And please don't mail me blue nail polish. I am not going to put nail polish on my nails just because you mailed it to my P.O. box. Ooh, this is a very beautiful question. Karipuka asks, do you prefer to say love or show love? Definitely show. I prefer to show my caring in my actions because words are kind of meaningless without the actions behind them. It's still fine to say, but the action should also speak for it. Becca Rose asked for the robot voice, but you apparently missed the one that I did earlier. Mokali asks, what is the nicest to hold animal that you've ever got to hold? I mean, are we talking humans or... Neighborhood Bisexual asks, what's the most evil punishment you've given someone? I don't know. It depends on context, really. Mowgli says animals. I mean, I've held some really fluffy, cute cats that were incredibly comfy and just, like, didn't want to run away. Most of the smaller animals with soft, fluffy fur. About a minute remaining. The narrator asks, can you say something that'll put us in little space? Maybe next time, like I said. Only the fair asks, so you like your animals docile? Shocking. Well, no, it has to do with they were like, what animal was the nicest to hold or cuddle? And then docile animals are much more like practical. Haley asks, what's your favorite way to break artist block? By giving yourself a challenge. Just challenge yourself. Do something silly or do something weird. And it's a really good way, especially if you find a challenge that you actually enjoy. And reptiles would be warm to the touch if they're warm-blooded. Anyway, the last question. Eternal Fancy asks, what's, in your opinion, the best effect you've given someone? Confidence. Or self-worth. Something along those lines. Just the feeling that they can be better people and that they are better people. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for being here, and thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing, for supporting me on Patreon, and for participating on the server and like everywhere. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to say that it's really nice to see so many people here, even with a simple, gentle live. So. Oh, and there was a really nice event, like not too long ago indeed. Good luck this month, and we'll see you next month, of course. This was Nimja Live.